Hello, and welcome to Tarot and Attachment. Today is September 22nd, and in fact, today is also the autumn equinox, which means that we are experiencing equal lengths of day and night here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I thought I would take this opportunity to come on today and consult the cards to see what themes might be emerging this coming week, how those themes might manifest in the lives of the collective, and how we might make the most of them. And so I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to go silent. I'm going to concentrate while I shuffle, and I will be with you momentarily. I'm just going to say a prayer over these cards. Hmm. Hmm. So a lot of wand energy and pentacles. In fact, that's the totality of the pull this week, which is kind of an interesting combination of energies. So you can think of wands as a representation of life force energy, the passion, the inspiration that we feel that motivates us to take actions out in the world. You can think of it as the kind of fire in your belly that guides you to be attracted to certain things and to want to produce certain outcomes. Now, you can think of pentacles as being the materialization of that action, the tangible results of an action taken, the physical ways that our actions manifest. And so there's this emphasis here on really examining what it is that we are drawn to and why. And are we taking actions that are fulfilling our needs to the best of our abilities? And where might we be out of line or out of sync with what truly feeds our life force energy? So I want to start with this one. It's a really interesting card. So the way that I usually describe the Seven of Pentacles goes like this. You have the soul of a poet, but you think to yourself, nobody makes a living being a poet, so I'm going to be a banker instead. And this card is suggesting that that actually is not the best way to proceed. In essence, what we are called to bring attention to with the Seven of Pentacles is, where are we operating out of an old judgment or an old story, whether it resides within ourselves or whether we think that it comes from the external world? Like, where are we operating out of this sense that what I truly desire, who I truly am on a deep soul level, is actually unacceptable? And how do I think that I have to change myself, alter my authentic expression in order to be more acceptable in the world around me, right? You can think of the Seven of Pentacles as this impetus to want to play it small. That on some level, we've internalized a narrative that who we truly are or what we really desire is impractical and imprudent and wrong. And that we need to alter ourselves in some way. And in fact, what this card is saying is that to the extent that we do that, we're actually undermining our ability to produce wealth and well-being for ourselves. So where are we acting inauthentically? Where have we disowned a part of ourselves that is our truest expression, that if we were living from that place, we might be able to be more successful, to feel more alive, to attract people who are resonant with these expressions of self that are true to form. And then the Four of Pentacles is a representation of clinging to these constructs that are offering us this false sense of security, right? The banker is a safe bet. I'm going to cling to that identity rather than expressing the poet that is in my soul. And really what the Four of Pentacles is pointing out, that this sense of safety is really an illusion anyway. In fact, I mean, really the irony, of course, in this visual representation, this guy's a king and he's sitting in front of his kingdom. So kings are in possession of great wealth. They have everything they need. They're in a position of power and privilege. He doesn't have to hold on so tightly to every coin to ensure that his needs are going to be met. So this need to control, this clamping down, this contractive energy to try to manage and control circumstances, presumably in an attempt to secure one's safety and wealth. It's an illusion anyway, because what's being highlighted in this card is that we're okay. We're being provided for. There are the necessary conditions out in the world for us to get our needs met. And in fact, if we were to surrender, to relax and let go and release, then there might actually be more room for flow, for us to attune to the conditions out in the world that are more aligned with who we truly feel ourselves to be, which then would have the opportunity to create more abundance, to help us to feel more secure on an internal level, rather than needing to control all the elements externally. And again, from this sort of mistaken premise that there's a right and wrong way to do it, you know? In order for us to get more aligned, we are being called to essentially bolster our own confidence. The Nine of Wands is literally the self-confidence card, and it is an acknowledgement. Yes, life is not easy often. It is, it's saying, yes, we've been knocked around in the battle of life, and that that not everything has worked out in exactly the way one would ideally want it to go. And yet, we've come through our battles well. And there are real world consequences for having transited those periods of strain or difficulty. And some of those consequences are not the best, not preferable, but some of them, but there are rewards, right? There are rewards in terms of resiliency. When you go through a difficult time, you do acquire tools for living. On the other side of that challenge, you recognize that there are some skills that could only have been obtained through actually having that experience. It's sort of, there's sort of like an acknowledgement that there's a positive side and a shadow side to every experience that we have. And in actuality, what the Nine of Wands wants us to do is be more balanced in our assessment of our own circumstances. Even though not everything is happening in the way we want it to, rather than focusing exclusively on what hasn't worked, it's asking us to assess the strengths that we possess as a result of having come through these challenges. And to live out of those strengths, to lead with them in such a way that we can start to attune internally to what it is that is setting our soul on fire, that is motivating us to take right action in the world. And to start to own that, right? So kings represent mastery, maturity, being in a position of authority and sovereignty in one's own life. So the King of Wands is one who is deeply attuned to what interests him, what impassions him, what he finds creatively interesting and fulfilling. And he is comfortable in this position of going after that and making it happen in his own sphere, assuming the throne in his own life in order to make decisions that are most fulfilling. And so the final piece here is the Six of Wands, and the Six of Wands is the victory card. Being successful, having overcome those obstacles, being held in high regard by the people around you. And what I would suggest is that in order to be victorious, we're actually being called to take the risk of being authentic, of letting go of old identifications that are not expressive of who we really are, and letting go of this false premise that we have to be different somehow in order to be safe and secure. And really recognizing that we have what it takes in this world to make choices that represent our power, our personal power, our personal interests, and that they can be successful. We can maybe find some success or make some real progress in the areas of life that are meaningful and feed our life force. So that is the message for the week ahead. And I am hoping that this message finds you well. I'm hoping that this information was useful to you. I appreciate any and all interaction with this page. It helps the page to grow. It helps these messages to find the right people. So I appreciate your engagement and I wish you well. Many blessings.